How to Become a Millionaire, written and published by Life. You've been lied to your entire life. The biggest lie? That saving money makes you rich. Your parents told you to save. Your teachers preached it. Financial advisors built careers on it. But here's the truth that will change everything. Savers break even. Owners get rich. Every dollar sitting in your savings account is a soldier that refuses to fight. It's capital under house arrest, earning pennies while inflation steals purchasing power. The wealthy understand something most people never learn. Money is not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be deployed, invested, and put to work generating more money. Think about the richest person you know personally. Not someone you've heard of, but someone in your actual life. Do they have the most money in savings? Of course not. They own things. Real estate that appreciates. Businesses that generate cash flow. Investments that compound. Assets that work while they sleep. The difference between rich and poor isn't income. It's ownership. 1. Stop saving, start owning. This fundamental misunderstanding about money keeps millions of hardworking people trapped in financial mediocrity. They optimize their savings rates, hunt for high-yield accounts, and feel virtuous about their growing account balances. Meanwhile, they watch prices rise faster than their savings grow, effectively becoming poorer each year despite their discipline. The wealthy operate from an entirely different framework. They don't ask, "How can I save more money?" They ask, "How can I own more assets?" This shift in thinking creates a completely different relationship with money. Instead of viewing money as something to protect and preserve, they see it as a tool for acquiring ownership stakes in appreciating assets. Consider the difference between a consumer mindset and a producer mindset. Consumers think about what they can buy. Producers think about what they can own and control. When a consumer sees a successful restaurant, they think about eating there. When a producer sees the same restaurant, they think about owning it, franchising the concept, or investing in the company that supplies its ingredients. This ownership mindset creates what we can call the ownership ladder. At the bottom rung, you own your skills and time. You trade hours for dollars, which limits your earning potential to the number of hours you can work. The next rung up is owning equity in businesses or partnerships. Here, your money works alongside other people's money and effort. At the top rung, you own assets that generate passive income with minimal ongoing effort from you. Most people never climb past the first rung. They become very good at trading their time for money, sometimes commanding high hourly rates or salaries, but they never transition to owning assets that generate wealth independently. They remain forever trapped in the active income cycle, where stopping work means stopping income. The path from saving to owning doesn't require massive capital or complex financial instruments. It starts with changing how you view your recurring expenses. Every monthly payment represents an opportunity to own instead of rent. Every subscription could become an investment. Every expense could potentially be converted into an asset. Take housing, the largest expense for most people. The traditional advice suggests buying a home to build equity, which is a step in the right direction. But the ownership mindset goes further. It asks whether you could house hack by renting out rooms, buy a duplex and live in one unit while renting the other, or even start with a small rental property that covers its own payments while appreciating in value. The same principle applies to transportation. Instead of seeing a car payment as a necessary expense, the ownership mindset explores options like buying vehicles that hold their value, purchasing cars to rent out through peer-to-peer platforms, or even starting a small transportation service. The goal isn't to become a full-time operator, but to shift from pure expense to potential asset. Business expenses offer even more opportunities for ownership conversion. Instead of paying others for services, you could invest in acquiring those capabilities yourself, then potentially offer them to others. Instead of being purely a customer, you could become a customer who also owns a piece of what you're buying from. This shift requires abandoning the scarcity mindset that drives most saving behavior. Scarcity thinking focuses on preservation and protection. Abundance thinking focuses on growth and multiplication. Scarcity asks, "What if I lose this money?" Abundance asks, "What if this money grows into something much larger?" The transition from saver to owner often feels uncomfortable initially because ownership involves risk that saving avoids. Money in savings accounts feels safe and predictable. Money invested in assets can fluctuate in value and requires active management. But this comfort comes at an enormous opportunity cost. The risk of ownership is actually the only path to real wealth building. Start by examining your largest recurring expenses and asking a simple question for each. Could I own something related to this expense instead of just paying it? You don't need to revolutionize your entire financial life overnight. Begin with one expense and explore ownership alternatives. The compound effect of this mindset shift accelerates over time. As you replace expenses with assets, you free up cash flow that can be deployed toward acquiring more assets. Each ownership stake teaches you more about evaluating opportunities and managing investments. Your comfort level with ownership grows, enabling larger and more sophisticated moves. The wealthy understand that money velocity matters more than money quantity. Money sitting still earns linear returns at best. Money in motion, deployed intelligently across various ownership stakes, can compound exponentially. They would rather own 50% of something growing rapidly than 100% of money sitting in an account growing slowly. This doesn't mean eliminating all savings or emergency funds. Basic financial security remains important. But once you have adequate liquidity for emergencies and opportunities, every additional dollar should be consciously deployed toward ownership rather than accumulation. The transformation from saver to owner represents the first and most critical mindset shift on the path to building real wealth. It changes not just what you do with money, but how you think about money's purpose and potential. Money becomes a tool for building equity rather than a security blanket to protect against uncertainty. Your assignment is simple but powerful. Identify one recurring monthly expense and explore how you could own an asset related to that expense instead of simply paying for it. This single shift will begin rewiring your brain from consumer thinking to producer thinking, from expense optimization to asset accumulation. The journey to real wealth begins with this fundamental recognition that ownership, not saving, is the vehicle that takes you there. 2. Mindset shift #2. Escape the hourly trap. The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. You shower, grab coffee, and trade your next 8 hours for a paycheck. This might feel responsible, even admirable. But here's the brutal truth the wealthy understand. Selling time is the slowest path to wealth ever invented. Rich people figured out something most never will. They don't sell hours, they sell outcomes. While everyone else is trapped in the time for money hamster wheel, millionaires have broken free into a completely different game. They've learned to package their knowledge, skills, and results into offers that pay them for what they produce, not how long it takes to produce it. Think about the last time you hired someone to solve a problem. Did you care if it took them 1 hour or 10? Of course not. You cared about getting the problem solved. You wanted an outcome, and you were willing to pay for that result. Yet most people continue pricing their services like short-order cooks, charging by the hour instead of by the value they create. This trap runs deeper than most realize. When you sell time, you're essentially telling the market that your value is tied to how long you sit in a chair. You're competing with every other person willing to trade hours for dollars. You're stuck in a race to the bottom, where someone younger, hungrier, or more desperate can always undercut your price. But outcomes? Outcomes are different. When you solve problems, create transformations, or deliver specific results, you enter an entirely new marketplace. You're no longer competing with everyone who can fog a mirror. You're competing with the small group of people who can deliver what the customer actually wants. The shift from selling time to selling outcomes requires you to think differently about what you're really offering. Instead of saying you provide 8 hours of work, you start saying you provide a specific result. Instead of charging for your effort, you charge for your impact. This isn't just a pricing strategy. It's a fundamental rewiring of how you see your own value. Consider two people with identical skills. One charges $50 per hour for website design. The other charges $5,000 to increase a business owner's online sales by 20% within 60 days. Same skills, wildly different positioning. The first person has capped their earning potential at however many hours they can physically work. The second person gets paid based on the value they create, which has virtually no ceiling. This distinction becomes even more powerful when you realize that outcomes can often be delivered faster as you get better at producing them. A problem that took you 10 hours to solve for your first client might only take you 2 hours to solve for your 10th client. If you're charging by the hour, your income actually goes down as you improve. If you're charging for the outcome, your effective hourly rate skyrockets while your clients get the same valuable result. The wealthy understand something else about outcomes that the hour sellers miss. Results compound in ways that time never can. When you solve the same type of problem repeatedly, you develop systems, shortcuts, and insights that make you exponentially more effective. You start seeing patterns others miss. You develop intuition for what works and what doesn't. You build a reputation for delivering specific types of transformations. This reputation becomes your most valuable asset. People don't refer others to someone who works hard for reasonable hourly rates. They refer others to someone who gets specific, valuable results. The outcome seller builds a network of raving fans who send them qualified prospects. The hour seller builds a network of people who might recommend them if someone needs some general help. The transition from selling time to selling outcomes requires you to get uncomfortably clear about what you actually deliver. Most people have never honestly answered this question. They know what they do, but they've never articulated what changes because of what they do. They focus on their process instead of their client's transformation. Start by looking at your past successes. What changed for the people you helped? What problems disappeared? What opportunities opened up? What fears were eliminated? What goals became reality? These transformations are your real product. Everything else is just the method you use to create them. Once you identify the outcomes you produce, you can start packaging them into specific offers. Instead of selling your time as a marketing person, you sell a predictable stream of qualified leads. Instead of selling hours as a business helper, you sell a streamlined operation that saves the owner 20 hours per week. Instead of offering general assistance, you offer specific, measurable improvements to their situation. Pricing these outcomes requires a completely different mindset than pricing your time. You're no longer calculating based on your costs plus a reasonable profit. You're pricing based on the value your outcome creates for the client. If your system saves them $20,000 per year, charging $5,000 for implementing it is a bargain. If your process increases their revenue by $50,000, charging $10,000 gives them an immediate 5-to-1 return. This value-based pricing feels uncomfortable at first, because it often results in charging more money for what feels like less work. Your hourly thinking brain tells you this isn't fair, but your outcome thinking brain knows that you're being paid for years of experience, specialized knowledge, and proven results. The client isn't buying your time. They're buying the transformation you can create. The most successful outcome sellers learn to guarantee their results whenever possible. This seems risky, but it's actually the opposite. When you guarantee outcomes, you eliminate the client's biggest fear while forcing yourself to become exceptionally good at producing results. You can't afford to wing it when your reputation and income depend on delivery. These guarantees also allow you to charge premium prices because you're removing the client's risk. A prospect might hesitate to pay $5,000 for something that might work, but they'll happily pay the same amount for something that definitely will work, backed by your promise to make it right if it doesn't. The pathway out of the hourly trap starts with a single outcome-based offer. Pick one problem you know you can solve reliably. Define exactly what success looks like for the client. Package this into a specific transformation you can deliver within a specific time frame. Price it based on the value it creates, not the time it takes you to deliver. Then comes the crucial part. You have to actually pitch this offer to real people with real problems. Theory means nothing until you test it in the marketplace. You'll discover that some prospects still think in hourly terms and try to negotiate you back into time-based pricing. Let them go. You're looking for clients who care more about results than methods, more about outcomes than processes. Every outcome-based offer you deliver successfully makes the next one easier to sell and more profitable to deliver. You're building a system for creating transformations, not just completing tasks. You're developing expertise that compounds, relationships that refer, and a reputation that commands premium pricing. The wealthy learned this lesson early. Time is your most finite resource, but outcomes have unlimited potential. When you escape the hourly trap, you're not just changing how you price your services. You're changing the entire trajectory of your wealth-building journey. 3. Systems beat goals. Goals feel good. Systems pay you. Every January, millions of people set financial goals. They write down numbers on paper, create vision boards, and declare this will be their year. By March, most have abandoned their aspirations entirely. The problem isn't their desire or even their work ethic. The problem is they're trying to achieve extraordinary results through ordinary thinking. Goals are like pointing at a destination on a map without planning the route. They tell you where you want to go, but provide zero guidance on how to get there. Systems, on the other hand, are the vehicle that actually drives you to wealth. While everyone else is dreaming about the destination, wealthy people are building the machine that makes the journey inevitable. Think about it this way. If you want to lose weight, you could set a goal to lose 30 pounds. That goal might motivate you for a few days, but motivation fades. A system would be cooking healthy meals every Sunday, walking for 20 minutes after each meal, and tracking your food intake daily. The goal points to what you want. The system creates what you become. The same principle applies to building wealth, but most people get it backwards. They set income goals without building income systems. They dream about net worth targets without installing wealth-building processes. They focus on the scoreboard instead of building a team that can actually score points. The wealthy understand something fundamental that the middle class misses entirely. Systems compound, goals don't. A goal is a one-time event. Once you hit it, the game is over. A system is a perpetual wealth-building machine that works whether you feel motivated or not, whether the market is up or down, whether you're having a good month or a terrible one. This is why lottery winners go broke, and why people who slowly build wealth through systems rarely lose it. The lottery winner achieved a goal without building a system. The systematic wealth builder created a machine that produces money consistently over time. When challenges arise, the goal-oriented person falls apart because they have no process to fall back on. The systems-oriented person keeps generating wealth because their machine keeps running. The foundation of any wealth-building system is what I call the millionaire operating system. This isn't complicated software or complex financial engineering. It's a simple framework that turns wealth building from a sporadic activity into a consistent practice. The system has 3 core components: inputs, weekly metrics, and feedback loops. Inputs are the activities you control completely. These are the daily and weekly actions that feed your wealth-building machine. Unlike outcomes, which depend on market conditions and other people's decisions, inputs are entirely within your power. You can't control whether someone buys from you today, but you can control how many people you reach out to. You can't control whether your business grows this month, but you can control how many hours you spend working on revenue-generating activities. Most people focus on outputs because they're more exciting. Outputs are the results, the money, the recognition. But outputs are lagging indicators. By the time you see them, the game is already decided. Inputs are leading indicators. They predict your future results and give you the power to change course before it's too late. The wealthy obsess over inputs while others fixate on outputs. They know that if they control their daily actions, the results will take care of themselves. They track how many prospects they contacted, how many proposals they sent, how many new relationships they built. They measure activities, not just outcomes, because activities are what create outcomes. Weekly metrics are your navigation system. Just as a pilot checks instruments regularly during a flight, you need consistent feedback on your wealth-building progress. But here's where most people go wrong. They track the wrong things. They obsess over their bank balance, their monthly income, or their investment returns. These numbers are important, but they're not actionable. The right metrics focus on the activities that directly create wealth. How many new prospects entered your pipeline this week? How many hours did you spend on high-value activities versus low-value busy work? How many connections did you make with people who could potentially help your business? How much time did you invest in learning skills that increase your earning power? These metrics matter because they predict your future financial results. Your bank balance tells you about the past. Your activity metrics tell you about the future. When you see your prospect generation dropping, you know you'll have a revenue problem in 60 days. When you notice you're spending too much time on administrative tasks and not enough on revenue generation, you know you need to adjust your priorities. Feedback loops close the circle by connecting your inputs to your results. This is where you analyze what's working and what isn't, then adjust your system accordingly. Most people skip this step entirely, which is why they keep getting the same results year after year. They're running the same plays regardless of whether those plays are winning or losing. Effective feedback loops require brutal honesty about your results. If you're not getting the outcomes you want, something in your system needs to change. Maybe you're focusing on the wrong activities. Maybe you're not doing enough of the right activities. Maybe your timing is off, or you're targeting the wrong market. The feedback loop helps you diagnose the problem and prescribe a solution. The key is to make these adjustments based on data, not emotions. When results are disappointing, it's tempting to completely overhaul your approach or give up entirely. When results are good, it's easy to assume everything is perfect and needs no improvement. Both responses are wrong. Systematic thinking means making small, consistent adjustments based on what the numbers are telling you. This approach transforms wealth building from an emotional roller coaster into a predictable process. You're no longer dependent on motivation, luck, or perfect market conditions. You have a machine that produces results consistently because it's based on activities you control, measured by metrics that matter, and improved through regular feedback. The most successful people I know all have some version of this system, though they might not call it that. They have daily routines that generate opportunities. They track activities that predict success. They regularly review their results and adjust their approach. They've turned wealth building from a goal into a habit. Installing your own millionaire operating system starts with identifying your key wealth-building activities. What actions, if done consistently, would predictably increase your income and net worth? For most people, these activities fall into a few categories: generating new opportunities, improving valuable skills, building relationships, and creating or acquiring assets. Once you've identified your key activities, you need to build them into your weekly routine. This isn't about finding extra time in your already busy schedule. It's about protecting time for the activities that actually build wealth, and eliminating time spent on activities that don't. Most people have their priorities exactly backwards. They spend their best hours on urgent but unimportant tasks and squeeze wealth-building activities into whatever time remains. The system works because it removes the guesswork from wealth building. You know what to do each day and each week. You know whether you're on track or falling behind. You know what adjustments to make when results aren't meeting expectations. You've created a feedback loop that gets stronger and more effective over time. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary financial results. Not through perfect timing, incredible luck, or revolutionary insights. Through consistent execution of a proven system that compounds results over time. While others are setting goals and hoping for the best, you're building a wealth-generating machine that works regardless of external conditions. The wealthy don't rely on willpower or motivation. They rely on systems that make wealth building automatic. They've created processes that run whether they feel like it or not, whether the market is cooperating or not, whether they're having a good day or a terrible one. Their wealth grows because they've built a machine designed to produce that result. Your financial future isn't determined by your goals or your intentions. It's determined by your systems. The question isn't what you want to achieve. The question is what machine you're building to achieve it. Goals might make you feel good, but systems will make you wealthy. 4. Build deal flow. Not hope options are oxygen for wealth. Most people suffocate financially because they wait for opportunities to find them instead of creating a steady stream of possibilities. They hope for the perfect moment, the right connection, or the lucky break that will change everything. Meanwhile, the wealthy understand a fundamental truth that transforms how they approach money. You must engineer your own luck through systematic deal flow. Deal flow is simply the steady stream of opportunities that cross your path. It might be potential clients for your service business, properties to purchase, partnerships to explore, or investments to consider. The key word here is steady. Wealth builders don't rely on sporadic windfalls or random encounters. They create predictable systems that generate multiple options every single week. Think about how water moves through a river. It doesn't hope to find the ocean. It follows the natural channels and creates new ones when blocked. Your financial life needs the same consistent movement. When you have deal flow, you're never desperate. You can walk away from bad offers because 3 better ones are coming next week. You can negotiate from strength because scarcity isn't driving your decisions. The absence of deal flow creates the opposite effect. Without options, every opportunity feels like your last chance. You accept unfavorable terms, tolerate difficult people, and stay in situations that drain your energy and resources. You become financially constipated, stuck in place while others flow past you toward greater prosperity. Building deal flow requires understanding the difference between inbound and outbound approaches. Inbound flow happens when opportunities come to you naturally through your reputation, network, and visible activities. Someone calls because they heard about your work through a friend. A property owner reaches out because you've been known in the community as a buyer. A potential partner approaches you after seeing your track record. Inbound flow feels effortless, but it requires upfront investment in what we call surface area. Surface area is how much of your potential value is visible to the world. If you do excellent work but nobody knows about it, you have minimal surface area. If you share your wins, help others publicly, and become known for solving specific problems, your surface area expands dramatically. Creating surface area doesn't mean becoming famous or building a massive following. It means becoming the person others think of when they encounter your type of opportunity. The friend who always knows about interesting properties. The colleague who connects people with useful services. The community member who seems to have a pulse on profitable ventures. Outbound deal flow requires more direct effort but gives you complete control over timing and volume. This is when you actively reach out to create opportunities instead of waiting for them to appear. You contact property owners who might want to sell. You approach businesses that could use your services. You attend gatherings where your ideal partners spend time. Most people avoid outbound activity because it feels pushy or uncomfortable. They worry about rejection or appearing too eager. This mindset costs them millions over a lifetime. The wealthy understand that offering value through outbound efforts is a service, not an inconvenience. When you can genuinely help someone solve a problem or achieve a goal, reaching out is the generous thing to do. The magic happens when you combine both approaches systematically. Your outbound efforts build relationships that generate inbound opportunities later. Your inbound success creates case studies and proof that make your outbound efforts more effective. The two approaches feed each other in an endless cycle of expanding possibilities. Consistency separates the wealthy from the wishful. Deal flow requires regular, repeated actions, rather than intense bursts of activity followed by long periods of waiting. Making 5 calls every week for a year creates dramatically different results than making 50 calls once and then hoping for the best. This is where most people fail. They launch into massive action for a few days or weeks, don't see immediate results, and conclude that building deal flow doesn't work. They return to hoping and waiting, wondering why opportunities never seem to find them. The wealthy know that deal flow builds momentum slowly at first, then accelerates as your reputation and relationships compound. Your deal flow system needs to match your goals and personality. If you're building a service business, your flow might focus on potential clients and referral partners. If you're investing in assets, you need property owners, business brokers, and other investors in your stream. If you're developing products, you need customers, distributors, and strategic partners flowing through your world. The quality of your deal flow depends heavily on the quality of your filters. Not every opportunity deserves serious consideration. Having clear criteria helps you quickly identify which possibilities merit deeper investigation and which ones you should politely decline. Good filters save time and energy, while bad filters cause you to chase every shiny object that appears. Your filters should consider fit, timing, resources, and potential return. Does this opportunity align with your strengths and interests? Can you execute it properly with your current situation? Do you have the time, money, and energy it requires? Will success create meaningful progress toward your wealth goals? Deal flow isn't just about finding opportunities for yourself. The most successful wealth builders become conduits for deals that benefit others. When you can't pursue an interesting possibility, referring it to someone in your network builds goodwill and often leads to reciprocal opportunities later. You become known as someone who creates value for others, which dramatically increases the flow coming back to you. The compound effect of consistent deal flow activity extends far beyond the immediate opportunities it generates. You develop better judgment about what works and what doesn't. You build a reputation as someone who gets things done. You create a network of people who think of you when interesting possibilities arise. You gain confidence in your ability to create wealth rather than simply hoping it finds you. Building deal flow also provides insurance against changing circumstances. When one income source disappears, you have others ready to develop. When one market shifts, you've already identified alternatives. When one relationship ends, you have multiple backup options. This resilience allows you to take bigger risks because you know you can always generate new possibilities. The wealthy never stop building deal flow, even when they don't need immediate opportunities. They understand that the best deals often come when you're not desperately seeking them. By maintaining consistent flow activity regardless of current circumstances, they ensure that exceptional opportunities find them regularly throughout their wealth-building journey. Deal flow transforms you from someone who reacts to circumstances into someone who creates them. Instead of hoping the right opportunity will appear at the right time, you engineer a steady stream of possibilities that compound your wealth over time. This shift from hope to systematic opportunity creation separates those who achieve financial freedom from those who spend their lives waiting for it to happen. 5. Exponential is greater than efficient. Warren Buffett once said his wealth came from three things: living in America, compound interest, and time. Most people focus on the first two and completely ignore the third. They spend their days optimizing, tweaking, and perfecting systems that move the needle by tiny fractions, while completely missing the exponential opportunities sitting right in front of them. The difference between millionaires and everyone else isn't that millionaires work harder or smarter. It's that they understand a fundamental truth about mathematics that schools never teach. Exponential growth will always demolish linear improvement, given enough time. While most people chase efficiency gains that might improve their results by 10 or 20%, millionaires focus on building systems that can double, triple, or grow by orders of magnitude. Think about the person who spends 3 hours researching the perfect productivity app to save 15 minutes a day. Even if that app delivers exactly as promised, after a full year they've gained about 90 hours while investing countless hours in research, setup, and learning. Compare that to someone who spends those same research hours building a simple system that generates an extra $100 this month, $200 next month, and continues growing from there. By year's end, the efficiency optimizer has saved some time, while the exponential thinker has built an asset that generates thousands of dollars annually. This is why millionaires seem to have an almost supernatural ability to spot opportunities others miss. They're not necessarily smarter or more talented. They've simply trained themselves to ask different questions. Instead of, how can I do this 10% better? They ask, how can I build something that grows without my constant input? Instead of, how can I save money on this expense? They ask, how can I turn this expense into something that pays me back with interest? The magic happens when you understand that small, consistent actions compound in ways that defy intuition. A business that grows by just 1% each day doubles every 70 days. A skill practiced for 30 minutes daily becomes world-class expertise within a few years. A network expanded by one meaningful connection each week becomes a powerful asset within months. The key isn't the size of the daily action, it's the consistency and the exponential nature of the underlying system. Most people sabotage their exponential potential because they can't see the results fast enough. They start a daily writing practice and quit after 2 weeks because they haven't become famous authors yet. They begin learning a valuable skill and abandon it after a month because clients aren't lining up at their door. They invest in an asset and sell it after 6 months because it hasn't made them rich yet. They're optimizing for immediate feedback instead of long-term compound growth. The millionaire mindset flips this completely. Instead of seeking immediate gratification, millionaires become comfortable with delayed results. They understand that exponential curves start slowly, often appearing flat for long periods, before suddenly shooting upward. They're willing to do things that seem pointless in month 1 but become incredibly valuable in year 2 or 3. Consider 2 people starting businesses. Person A obsesses over optimizing their current process, squeezing out every bit of efficiency, cutting costs, and perfecting their existing system. They might improve their monthly results by 20 or 30% over the first year through sheer optimization. Person B focuses on building systems that can scale exponentially. They create processes that work without their constant oversight, develop relationships that generate referrals, and build assets that appreciate over time. Their first-year results might actually be worse than Person A's because they're investing time and energy in things that don't pay off immediately. But watch what happens in year 3. Person A has optimized their way to perhaps double their original results through accumulated efficiency gains. Person B has built something that generates results, whether they're working or not, creates value that compounds on itself, and grows through network effects and momentum. The gap between them isn't just larger, it's accelerating. This principle applies to every area of wealth building. In relationships, sending one thoughtful message to someone in your network each day seems insignificant, but over a year, you've strengthened 365 connections. Many of those people will think of you when opportunities arise, recommend you to others, or become valuable partners. The compound effect of consistent relationship building creates exponential returns in opportunities, referrals, and collaborative possibilities. In skill development, spending 20 minutes daily learning something valuable seems almost trivial compared to intensive weekend workshops or expensive courses. But those 20 daily minutes add up to over 100 hours annually of focused learning. More importantly, daily practice creates momentum and retention that intensive but sporadic learning can't match. The person who learns consistently for a year often surpasses someone who attended a dozen workshops but never built a daily practice. In asset building, making small, regular investments in appreciating assets feels painfully slow compared to trying to hit home runs with large, risky bets. But the person who consistently adds to their asset base, reinvests, returns, and lets time work in their favor, often accumulates more wealth than someone constantly swinging for the fences. The exponential growth comes not just from the assets themselves, but from the reinvestment of returns and the compound effect of time. The challenge is that exponential growth feels counterintuitive. Our brains evolved to understand linear relationships, where more effort directly produces proportionally more results. Exponential relationships, where small inputs can eventually produce massive outputs, feel almost magical. This is why most people abandon exponential strategies in favor of linear ones. Linear feels predictable and controllable, even when it leads to predictably mediocre results. Millionaires have trained themselves to think exponentially by focusing on systems rather than outcomes. They build daily practices that may seem small but have compounding potential. They create assets that generate returns, which can be reinvested for even greater returns. They develop relationships that become more valuable over time through mutual success and shared experience. The most powerful exponential systems are those that improve themselves. A business that generates cash flow, which can be reinvested in growth. A skill that makes you more valuable, leading to better opportunities to develop even more valuable skills. A network that introduces you to other well-connected people, expanding your network exponentially rather than linearly. These self-improving systems are what create true wealth over time. The practical, Application of exponential thinking starts with choosing one area where you can commit to small, daily actions for an extended period. This might be creating content that builds your reputation and attracts opportunities. It could be developing a skill that increases your value in the marketplace. It might be building relationships with people who can become partners, customers, or mentors. The specific choice matters less than your commitment to consistency and your patience with the exponential curve. The key is to start something today that you can maintain for 365 days, even if the daily action seems almost insignificantly small. You're not trying to optimize your way to wealth through efficiency gains. You're building systems that compound over time, creating results that would be impossible to achieve through linear effort alone. This is how millionaires think, and it's how exponential wealth gets built. 6. Mindset. Shift. #6. Play asymmetric games. Cap downside, let upside run. Most people approach wealth building like they're playing checkers when they should be playing poker. In checkers, every move has roughly equal weight and predictable outcomes. In poker, you fold most hands, bet small on decent hands, and go all in when the odds heavily favor you. The wealthy understand this fundamental difference and structure their entire approach to money around asymmetric opportunities. An asymmetric opportunity is one where your potential loss is limited and known up front, but your potential gain is unlimited or vastly disproportionate to your risk. Think of it as betting $1 to potentially win 100, or risking your time for a weekend to potentially create a business that generates income for years. The math is simple. When you can limit your downside while leaving your upside uncapped, you only need to be right occasionally to create substantial wealth. The challenge is that most people do exactly the opposite. They take symmetric or negative, asymmetric bets without realizing it. They work jobs where their upside is capped by salary ranges and annual raises, but their downside includes decades of their life and the opportunity cost of not building assets. They buy lottery tickets where the downside is certain and the upside is mathematically negligible. They avoid small risks that could lead to large gains while taking large risks that lead to small gains. The barbell strategy becomes your framework for implementing asymmetric thinking. Picture a barbell with weight on both ends but nothing in the middle. On one side, you place the majority of your resources in extremely safe, predictable investments or activities. This protects your downside and ensures survival. On the other side, you place a small percentage of your resources in high-risk, high-reward opportunities with unlimited upside potential. This captures the asymmetric gains that create wealth. Most people try to find the perfect balance in the middle, putting their money and energy into moderate risk, moderate reward activities. This feels safer and more rational, but it eliminates both true security and explosive growth potential. The barbell approach gives you both safety and asymmetric upside while avoiding the mediocre middle ground where most wealth-building efforts stagnate. In practical terms, this means keeping 80 to 90% of your resources in predictable, low-risk activities that protect your foundation. This might include maintaining stable income sources, building emergency funds, or investing in established assets with proven track records. These activities should be boring, reliable, and designed to prevent catastrophic loss rather than generate extraordinary returns. The remaining 10 to 20% goes towards small bets with massive upside potential. These are experiments where losing your entire investment would be disappointing but not devastating, while success could multiply your resources many times over. The key is making these bets small enough that you can afford to lose them all, but numerous enough that you only need one or two to succeed dramatically. Bet sizing becomes crucial in asymmetric thinking. Traditional advice tells you to diversify evenly across opportunities, but asymmetric players concentrate their small bet capital on their highest conviction opportunities, while still maintaining multiple shots on goal. If you have $1,000 allocated for asymmetric bets, it's better to make 5 $200 bets on opportunities you've researched thoroughly than 20 $50 bets on random ideas. The concept of truncating losses means having predetermined exit criteria for your asymmetric bets. Before making any investment of time or money, you decide exactly what would signal that the opportunity isn't working and stick to that decision. This removes emotion from the equation and prevents small losses from becoming large ones. Most people struggle with this because they become emotionally invested in their decisions and throw good money after bad, trying to make failing projects work. Equally important is letting winners run rather than taking profits too early. When an asymmetric bet starts paying off, the natural tendency is to lock in gains and feel smart about the success. But asymmetric opportunities often have long tails where the biggest gains come after initial success. If you bought shares in a small company that doubled, the temptation is to sell and celebrate the win. But if your original analysis suggested the company could grow much larger, early profits might represent a tiny fraction of the ultimate potential. Time arbitrage represents one of the most accessible forms of asymmetric opportunity. You can invest hours or days learning skills, building relationships, or creating assets that could generate returns for years or decades. The downside is limited to your time investment, while the upside could be career-changing income, streams, business opportunities, or valuable connections. Most people undervalue their time when it comes to asymmetric investments, focusing only on financial capital while ignoring their most renewable resource. Reputation and relationship asymmetries offer similar dynamics. Helping someone solve a problem might cost you an afternoon, but it could lead to introductions, partnerships, or opportunities worth vastly more than your time investment. The downside is known and limited, while the upside depends on the other person's network and future success. These relationship investments compound over time as your network grows and the people you've helped achieve greater success themselves. Information asymmetries create opportunities when you know something others don't, or see trends before they become obvious. This might involve learning about emerging industries, understanding regulatory changes before they take effect, or recognizing patterns that others miss. The investment is your time spent learning and researching, while the payoff comes from acting on superior information before the broader market catches on. Geographic arbitrage exploits differences in costs and opportunities between locations. You might live in a low-cost area while serving clients in high-cost markets, capturing the difference in pricing power. Or you might identify opportunities in overlooked markets where competition is lighter but demand still exists. The downside is typically limited to research time and small test investments, while the upside could be significant market advantages. Platform asymmetries emerge when you can build something once and distribute it many times. Writing a book, creating an online course, or developing software involves upfront investment with ongoing potential returns. Traditional employment offers linear returns where more work equals more pay, but platform plays offer geometric returns where the same work can generate increasing income over time. The key to successful asymmetric thinking is volume and patience. You need to place enough small bets to ensure that statistics work in your favor, and you need to wait long enough for compounding effects to materialize. Most people place too few bets and give up too quickly, never giving asymmetric opportunities time to develop. Pattern recognition improves as you gain experience with asymmetric opportunities. You begin to identify common characteristics of situations with limited downside and unlimited upside. You learn to spot when markets are mispricing opportunities, when timing favors bold action, and when your unique skills or knowledge create temporary advantages. Risk management becomes about controlling the magnitude of losses rather than avoiding all risk. Instead of asking whether an opportunity could fail, you ask how much you could lose and whether you can afford that loss. Instead of seeking guaranteed returns, you seek opportunities where failure teaches valuable lessons and success creates disproportionate rewards. Your action for implementing asymmetric thinking is to identify 10 small-bet, high-upside experiments you could launch this quarter. Each should require minimal upfront investment but offer significant potential returns. This might include testing new business ideas, learning high-value skills, building relationships with influential people, or exploring emerging opportunities in your field. The goal isn't for all 10 to succeed, but for 1 or 2 successes to more than compensate for the failures while teaching you valuable lessons about asymmetric opportunity recognition. 7. Trust is the highest yield asset. Social capital compounds faster than cash. While most people obsess over building financial capital, the wealthy understand that trust creates opportunities that no amount of money can buy. Your reputation becomes your most valuable asset because it opens doors, creates partnerships, and generates deals that would otherwise be impossible to access. Think about the last significant opportunity that came your way. Chances are it didn't come from a cold email or a random encounter. It came through someone who knew you, trusted you, and believed in your ability to deliver. This is the power of social capital in action. When people trust you, they bring you opportunities first. They refer their best contacts to you. They invest in your ideas before they're fully formed. They give you the benefit of the doubt when things go wrong. The mistake most people make is treating relationships like transactions. They reach out to people only when they need something, then disappear until the next ask. This approach destroys trust faster than it builds it. The wealthy understand that relationships are built through consistent value delivery, not sporadic requests for help. Building trust starts with becoming someone worth trusting. This means following through on your commitments, even the small ones. If you say you'll send someone an email by Thursday, send it by Wednesday. If you promise to make an introduction, make it within 48 hours. Every kept promise builds trust capital. Every broken commitment erodes it. The wealthy are obsessive about keeping their word because they understand that their reputation is their most valuable asset. The give-first approach is fundamental to building lasting relationships. Instead of asking what others can do for you, focus on what you can do for them. Share valuable information, make introductions, offer your skills and expertise, celebrate their wins, support them during challenges. When you consistently add value to others' lives without expecting immediate returns, you build a network of people who genuinely want to see you succeed. Proof always beats promises when building trust. Anyone can claim they're successful or capable, but demonstrating your abilities through results creates unshakable credibility. Document your wins, share your process, and let your work speak for itself. When people can see evidence of your capabilities, they don't have to take your word for it. This evidence becomes the foundation for larger opportunities and higher stakes partnerships. The reputation flywheel works because success creates visibility, which creates more opportunities, which creates more success. Every time you deliver exceptional results, that story spreads through your network. People remember who solved their problems and delivered beyond expectations. They become advocates who recommend you to others facing similar challenges. One satisfied client becomes the source of 10 referrals if you've truly impressed them. Most people underestimate the long-term value of their current relationships. They think they need to network with famous people or industry leaders to build meaningful social capital. The truth is that today's peer could be tomorrow's decision-maker. The person you meet at a local meetup might start a company in 5 years, and remember how you helped them when they were just getting started. Building genuine relationships with people at all levels creates a network that grows in value as your contacts advance in their careers. Consistency in your interactions builds trust more effectively than grand gestures. Regular check-ins, thoughtful messages, and small acts of service create stronger bonds than expensive gifts or elaborate favors. People remember how you made them feel during ordinary interactions, not just during major moments. A simple message congratulating someone on their achievement or checking in during a difficult time often carries more weight than flashy displays of generosity. The network effect multiplies the value of your relationships exponentially. When you have strong relationships with trusted people, you gain access to their networks as well. A single introduction from the right person can be worth more than years of cold outreach. This is why the wealthy invest so much time in building deep relationships with other well-connected individuals. Each strong relationship becomes a bridge to dozens of other potential connections. Trust also creates pricing power in your business dealings. When people trust your judgment and abilities, they're willing to pay premium prices for your services. They don't need to shop around or negotiate aggressively because they believe you'll deliver exceptional value. This trust-based pricing power can increase your profit margins significantly compared to competing solely on price in commodity markets. Your reputation precedes you in every new situation when you've built strong social capital. People hear about you before you meet them. They come to conversations with positive expectations and pre-existing trust. This social proof makes every subsequent interaction more productive because you don't have to establish your credibility from scratch. The daily practice of building social capital requires intentionality. Set aside time each day to nurture your relationships. This might mean sending a thoughtful message to someone in your network, sharing a valuable resource, or making an introduction between two people who should know each other. These small daily actions compound over time into a powerful network of advocates and allies. Creating value for others doesn't require significant resources or expertise. Simply paying attention to what people need and connecting them with solutions builds tremendous goodwill. You might notice that two people in your network could benefit from knowing each other, or you might come across an article that would interest a specific contact. These small acts of service cost you nothing but create lasting appreciation. The quality of your network matters more than its size. A handful of deep, trusting relationships will create more opportunities than hundreds of superficial connections. Focus on building genuine friendships with people you respect and enjoy spending time with. These relationships will naturally lead to business opportunities because people prefer to work with those they know, like, and trust. When you make relationship building a priority, every interaction becomes an investment in your future success. The person sitting next to you at an event might become a business partner. The colleague who helped you solve a problem today might recommend you for a lucrative opportunity next year. Your former client might start a new company and bring you in as a consultant. These relationships create a continuous flow of opportunities that money alone cannot generate. Trust is also your insurance policy during difficult times. When challenges arise in business or life, your network becomes your safety net. People who trust you will offer help, advice, and resources to help you navigate difficulties. They'll give you the benefit of the doubt when others might walk away. This support system becomes invaluable during the inevitable ups and downs of building wealth. The compound effect of trust means that your early investments in relationship building pay the highest returns. The person you help today when they're struggling might become the key to your biggest opportunity in 5 years. This is why successful people maintain relationships even when there's no immediate benefit. They understand that social capital appreciates over time and creates exponential returns for patient investors. Building trust requires authenticity because people can sense when interactions are purely transactional. Genuine interest in others' success, real concern for their challenges, and authentic celebration of their wins creates bonds that last decades. When your care for others is real, they reciprocate with loyalty and support that transcends typical business relationships. Your social capital becomes your most portable asset as you build wealth. Unlike businesses that might fail or investments that might lose value, the trust you've built with people travels with you to every new venture. Your reputation opens doors in new industries, creates partnerships in unfamiliar markets, and generates opportunities in unexpected places. This portability makes relationship building one of the safest and highest yielding investments you can make. 8. Pick your money vehicle. You don't need every vehicle, just the right one. The biggest mistake aspiring wealthy people make is jumping from one money-making method to another like a pinball bouncing between bumpers. They start a service business on Monday, pivot to selling products on Wednesday, and by Friday they're convinced they need to create an online course. This scattered approach guarantees mediocrity because mastery requires focus and wealth requires mastery. Think of money vehicles like transportation. A bicycle, motorcycle, car, and airplane all move you forward, but each serves different purposes. You wouldn't use a bicycle to cross an ocean or an airplane to visit your neighbor. The same principle applies to wealth building. The vehicle must match your current situation, natural abilities, and long-term destination. Most people choose money vehicles based on what sounds exciting or what worked for someone else. This is like choosing a car based on the color instead of whether it can handle your daily commute. The flashy red sports car might look impressive, but if you need to haul equipment for work every day, a practical truck serves you better. Similarly, that glamorous business model you read about might not align with your skills, resources, or market position. The concept of fit determines everything. Just as a key must match a lock to open a door, your chosen money vehicle must align with 3 critical elements: your skill set, the market opportunity, and your personal situation. When these three elements align properly, making money becomes significantly easier. When they don't align, even tremendous effort produces disappointing results. Your skill set includes both your current abilities and your capacity to develop new ones. Some people have natural sales talent and thrive in businesses requiring constant persuasion and relationship building. Others prefer systematic, process-driven work and excel in businesses with predictable, repeatable procedures. Neither approach is superior, but choosing the wrong one for your personality creates unnecessary friction and reduces your chances of success. Market opportunity refers to the size, accessibility, and competition level in your chosen field. A brilliant strategy in a shrinking market leads to struggle, while an average approach in an expanding market can generate substantial returns. The key is finding markets large enough to support your wealth goals but not so competitive that you can't establish a profitable position. Your personal situation encompasses your available time, financial resources, risk tolerance, and life circumstances. A single person with minimal expenses can pursue higher risk, higher reward opportunities, while someone supporting a family might need more predictable income streams. Neither situation is better or worse, but each requires different vehicle choices. Service businesses represent the most accessible starting point for most people because they require minimal upfront investment and leverage skills you already possess. The barrier to entry is low, and you can generate income quickly. However, service businesses also face inherent limitations because they typically trade time for money. You can increase your hourly rate and work more efficiently, but you're still constrained by the hours available in each day. The key to succeeding with service businesses lies in positioning yourself as the only logical choice for a specific type of client facing a particular problem. Instead of being a general consultant competing on price with thousands of others, you become the specialist who solves a narrow but valuable problem better than anyone else. This specialization allows you to charge premium rates and creates a foundation for scaling beyond personal time investment. Product businesses offer different advantages and challenges. Physical products require more upfront investment for inventory, storage, and shipping, but they can scale beyond your personal time once systems are established. Digital products have lower ongoing costs but require different skills in creation, marketing, and delivery. Both types of product businesses can generate income while you sleep, but they also require more sophisticated marketing and customer acquisition strategies. Media businesses have become increasingly attractive because they combine low startup costs with high scalability potential. You can start with nothing more than knowledge and a way to share it. Then build an audience that supports multiple revenue streams. However, media businesses require consistent content creation and audience building, which many people underestimate. The freedom to work from anywhere and set your own schedule comes with the responsibility to maintain audience engagement continuously. Software and technology businesses offer some of the highest potential returns because they can scale globally with minimal additional costs per customer. However, they also require specialized technical skills or the resources to hire people with those skills. The initial development process can be lengthy and expensive, with no guarantee of market acceptance. Traditional businesses like retail, restaurants, or local services may seem less exciting, but they offer proven models with established customer bases. These businesses often provide steady cash flow and can be systematized and eventually sold. They may not offer the explosive growth potential of technology businesses, but they also carry lower risk of complete failure. The decision process should focus on finding the intersection between what you're naturally good at, what the market values, and what fits your current situation. This intersection might not be the most exciting option, but it gives you the highest probability of success. Once you achieve initial success with one vehicle, you can use those resources to explore other opportunities from a position of strength. Many successful wealthy people used one money vehicle to generate initial capital, then diversified into other areas once they had established cash flow and experience. The important thing is to pick one vehicle and master it completely before moving to others. Half-hearted efforts across multiple vehicles produce inferior results compared to focused excellence in one area. The vehicle you choose today doesn't have to be the vehicle you use forever. Business models evolve, markets change, and your skills develop over time. What matters is picking the vehicle that gives you the best chance of generating significant wealth in your current situation, then using that success as a process. Foundation for future opportunities. Your money vehicle should feel challenging enough to promote growth, but not so overwhelming that you become paralyzed by the complexity. It should align with your natural working style and energy patterns. Most importantly, it should operate in a market with sufficient demand to support your financial goals. The wealthy don't succeed because they picked the perfect vehicle from the beginning. They succeed because they picked a good vehicle and became exceptional at operating it. Your job is not to find the single best money-making method in the world. Your job is to find the best method for you right now and execute it with complete commitment until it produces the results you want. 9. Skill stacks that print cash. Most people chase rare talent when they should be building rare combinations. The millionaires I know aren't necessarily the smartest people in the room, but they've learned to combine ordinary skills in extraordinary ways that create pricing power and market advantages others can't replicate. Think about it this way. Becoming world-class at one skill puts you in competition with thousands of others who've made the same choice. But becoming very good at two complementary skills that rarely exist together? Now you're operating in a market of one. This is the secret behind skill stacks that generate serious money. I learned this lesson the hard way early in my career. I spent years trying to become the absolute best at one thing, grinding away while watching others with seemingly less talent pull ahead of me financially. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to be the best and started focusing on being the only person who could do what I did the way I did it. The power of skill stacks lies in their multiplicative effect rather than additive. When you combine skills strategically, they don't just add up, they multiply your value in the marketplace. A decent writer who understands basic psychology isn't just slightly more valuable than a decent writer. They're exponentially more valuable because they can craft messages that actually change behavior and drive results. This multiplication happens because most business problems exist at the intersection of different domains. The companies and people who can solve problems that span multiple areas command premium pricing because they eliminate the coordination costs and communication gaps that come with hiring multiple specialists. Consider the massive difference in earning potential between someone who only knows how to create content versus someone who can create content and understands distribution channels. The first person might make a modest living selling their creative output. The second person builds audiences, launches products, and scales their reach because they understand both creation and amplification. The key is identifying which combinations create unfair advantages in your chosen field. Some skill stacks work because they reduce friction for buyers. Others work because they solve more complete problems. The most valuable combinations tend to bridge the gap between technical execution and business results. One pattern I see repeatedly among high earners is the combination of a high-income skill with a distribution skill. The high-income skill creates value, while the distribution skill ensures that value reaches the right people at scale. This might look like copywriting plus audience building, consulting plus speaking, or product development plus sales. Another powerful combination pairs analytical skills with creative skills. Most people lean heavily toward one side or the other, but those who can both analyze problems rigorously and craft compelling solutions have tremendous market value. They can not only figure out what needs to be done, but also present their findings in ways that inspire action. The timing aspect of skill development matters more than most people realize. Building your second skill while your first skill is generating income gives you tremendous advantages. You have real-world problems to solve, immediate feedback on what works, and the financial breathing room to experiment and learn without pressure. This is why I recommend the T-shaped approach to skill development. Go deep enough in one area to generate income and establish credibility. Then begin adding complementary skills that multiply the value of your primary expertise. The depth gives you foundation and credibility. The breadth gives you unique positioning and pricing power. Most people make the mistake of trying to add random skills without considering how they connect. Every additional skill you develop should either expand your market, increase your pricing power, or reduce your dependencies. Skills that don't serve one of these purposes are expensive hobbies, not wealth-building investments. The distribution skill deserves special attention because it's often the missing piece for talented people who struggle financially. You might be exceptional at solving problems, but if you can't communicate your value effectively or reach the people who need your help, your expertise remains locked up and undervalued. Distribution skills include writing, speaking, networking, marketing, and audience building. These skills ensure your primary expertise gets seen, understood, and purchased by the right people. Without distribution, even exceptional talent remains hidden and undercompensated. One of the most overlooked aspects of valuable skill stacks is the trust-building component. Technical skills might get you in the door, but trust-building skills determine your long-term earning potential and the quality of opportunities that come your way. People buy from those they trust, especially for high-value services and complex solutions. Trust-building skills include active listening, clear communication, reliable follow-through, and the ability to understand and address concerns before they become problems. These might seem soft compared to technical abilities, but they often determine who wins the best clients and commands premium pricing. The learning approach for building valuable skill stacks differs from traditional education. Instead of learning skills in isolation, you want to develop them in the context of real problems and immediate application. This creates natural connections between different areas of knowledge and helps you understand how they work together to create value. Start by identifying the intersection where your natural abilities meet market demand. What problems can you already solve that people will pay for? This becomes your foundation skill, the one that generates income while you develop complementary abilities. Then, look at the gaps between what you currently offer and what your ideal clients really need. These gaps often represent opportunities to add skills that would dramatically increase your value and pricing power. Maybe your clients need what you do plus strategic thinking, or technical implementation plus training, or analysis plus presentation. The key is adding skills that either expand your market or deepen your value within your current market. Expanding your market means reaching new types of buyers or solving problems for different industries. Deepening your value means becoming more essential and harder to replace for your existing clients. Speed of skill acquisition becomes crucial when you're building stacks strategically. You're not trying to achieve mastery in every area, just competence in the secondary skills that multiply the value of your primary expertise. This means focusing on the fundamentals that deliver the most practical results, rather than pursuing advanced techniques in every domain. The most successful skill stackers I know are ruthless about focusing on skills that compound with their existing abilities. They say no to learning opportunities that don't clearly connect to their wealth-building strategy, even when those opportunities seem interesting or valuable in isolation. Your skill stack should ultimately make you irreplaceable in your chosen niche. When clients think about the specific combination of problems you solve and the way you solve them, they shouldn't be able to easily imagine hiring someone else. This level of unique positioning allows you to command premium pricing and attracts higher quality opportunities. The beautiful thing about skill stacks is that they become more valuable over time as you gain experience applying them together. The connections between your different abilities strengthen, your efficiency improves, and your results become more predictable and impressive. Building valuable skill combinations isn't about collecting credentials or checking boxes. It's about developing capabilities that multiply your market value and create sustainable competitive advantages. The goal is becoming the obvious choice for a specific type of valuable problem, not being good at everything for everyone. 10. The leverage ladder. More output, same effort. That's the secret wealthy people understand but rarely explain. While everyone else trades time for money in a straight line, millionaires climb what I call the leverage ladder. Each rung multiplies their impact without multiplying their hours. Most people think harder work leads to more money. They believe if they just put in more hours, take on more clients, or work weekends, they'll eventually break through to wealth. This thinking keeps them trapped in what I call the effort prison. No matter how hard they work, they hit a ceiling because there are only 24 hours in a day. The wealthy think differently. They ask a different question. Instead of, how can I work harder? They ask, how can I work once and get paid repeatedly? Instead of, how can I do more? They ask, How can I get the same result with less direct effort from me? This shift in thinking opens up 4 types of leverage that can transform your financial life. Think of these as the 4 rungs of the leverage ladder. Most people never climb past the first rung. Millionaires master all 4 and stack them together for exponential results. The first rung is media leverage. This is the ability to create once and distribute infinitely. When you write a book, record a video, or create a template, you're building media leverage. Your words, ideas, and systems can reach thousands of people without you being present for each interaction. A single piece of content can generate income, build relationships, and solve problems for years after you created it. Media leverage used to require massive capital. You needed a printing press, a television studio, or a radio station. Today, anyone with basic tools can create and distribute media. The barrier to entry has collapsed, but most people still think like employees instead of media creators. They consume content instead of creating it. They watch others build audiences instead of building their own. The second rung is code leverage. This doesn't mean you need to become a programmer, though that certainly helps. Code leverage means using systems, automation, and tools to multiply your output. When you set up an automated system that handles customer inquiries, processes orders, or nurtures leads, you're using code leverage. The system works while you sleep. Code leverage also includes templates, checklists, and repeatable processes. If you solve the same problem repeatedly, you should systemize the solution. Create a template, build a process. Turn your expertise into a system that others can execute. This lets you solve problems at scale without being personally involved in every solution. The third rung is capital leverage. This is using money to make money. When you invest in assets that generate income, buy businesses, or fund projects that return more than you invested, you're climbing the capital ladder. Your money works for you instead of just sitting in an account. Capital leverage requires capital, which creates a chicken and egg problem for most people. They need money to make money, but they need money to get money. This is why the first 2 rungs matter so much. Media leverage and code leverage help you build the capital needed for capital leverage. They're your stepping stones to financial independence. The fourth rung is people leverage. This is the ability to multiply your efforts through others. When you hire employees, work with partners, or build a team, you're using people leverage. Instead of being limited by your own time and skills, you can accomplish far more through coordinated group effort. People leverage intimidates many aspiring millionaires. They worry about management complexity, hiring costs, and delegation challenges. But people leverage doesn't have to mean building a large company. It can start with a single virtual assistant, one freelancer, or a strategic partnership. The key is thinking beyond what you can personally accomplish. The real power comes from stacking these forms of leverage. Media leverage builds your reputation and attracts opportunities. Code leverage systemizes your processes and reduces manual work. Capital leverage turns your earnings into ongoing income streams. People leverage multiplies your capacity and fills in your skill gaps. Consider how a successful consultant might stack leverage. She starts with media leverage by writing detailed case studies of her client work. These case studies attract new clients without ongoing sales effort. Next, she builds code leverage by creating templates and processes for common client problems. This reduces the time needed for each engagement while maintaining quality. As her income grows, she adds capital leverage by investing in rental properties and other assets. The passive income gives her more freedom to be selective with clients and take on higher value projects. Finally, she uses people leverage by hiring other consultants to handle routine work while she focuses on strategy and business development. Each form of leverage reinforces the others. Media leverage attracts the best people for people leverage. Code leverage frees up time to create more media leverage. Capital leverage provides the resources needed for better code and people leverage. People leverage creates more capacity for all other forms of leverage. Most people resist leverage because it requires upfront investment with delayed returns. Creating media takes time before it generates results. Building systems requires effort before they save effort. Hiring people costs money before they generate value. This delayed gratification separates millionaires from everyone else. The mistake is thinking you need to master all forms of leverage simultaneously. Instead, focus on one rung at a time while looking for natural stacking opportunities. If you're naturally good at writing, start with media leverage. If you love systems and processes, begin with code leverage. If you have some capital, explore investment opportunities. If you're a natural leader, experiment with people leverage. The key is consistent action rather than perfect strategy. Ship one piece of leverage every week. This might be a template that saves you time, a piece of content that attracts prospects, a small investment that generates passive income, or bringing on help for routine tasks. Small, consistent leverage investments compound into significant advantages over time. Leverage amplifies both good decisions and bad decisions. If your core business model is flawed, leverage will multiply the problem rather than solve it. Make sure your foundation is solid before you start climbing the leverage ladder. Focus on creating genuine value and building trust before trying to scale that value through leverage. The wealthy understand that leverage is not about working less or being lazy. It's about being strategic with your efforts and building systems that multiply your impact. Every hour you spend creating leverage pays dividends for months or years afterward. Every dollar you invest in leverage generates multiple dollars in return. Every relationship you build through leverage creates opportunities you couldn't access alone. Start where you are with what you have. Look for your first leverage opportunity and take action this week. The leverage ladder is waiting, and every rung you climb moves you closer to millionaire status. 11. The boring millionaire business sexy is crowded. Boring is profitable. Everyone wants to chase the latest shiny opportunity. They dream of launching the next revolutionary app, creating viral content, or building the kind of business that gets written about in magazines. Meanwhile, the real millionaires are quietly making fortunes in businesses so mundane that most people wouldn't even consider them worth pursuing. The truth is that boring businesses are wealth-building machines because they solve real problems without the glamour that attracts excessive competition. While everyone else fights over the trendy markets, you can build a monopoly in a space that most people find too tedious to enter. Consider the person who owns 3 laundromats in working-class neighborhoods. They're not going to win any innovation awards, but they're generating predictable cash flow month after month. Their customers need clean clothes regardless of economic conditions, new technology, or changing trends. The business model hasn't fundamentally changed in decades, which means it probably won't change in the next few decades either. This stability is what makes boring businesses so powerful. When you're not constantly worried about disruption or having to reinvent your entire operation every few years, you can focus on the fundamentals that actually build wealth: consistent revenue, operational efficiency, and gradual expansion. The most profitable, boring businesses share several characteristics. They serve basic human needs that never go away. People will always need food, shelter, transportation, repair services, and solutions to everyday problems. These businesses often operate in local markets where national competition is limited. It's hard for a massive corporation to efficiently manage thousands of small-scale local operations, which creates opportunities for individual owners to dominate their geographic area. They also tend to be businesses that customers don't think about much once they find a reliable provider. Nobody gets excited about their waste management company or their office cleaning service, but they'll stick with providers who show up consistently and do good work. This customer inertia creates natural barriers to competition and allows you to raise prices gradually over time. The recurring revenue model is another hallmark of boring millionaire businesses. Instead of constantly hunting for new customers, you build a base of clients who pay you regularly for ongoing services. This might be monthly software licenses for simple business tools, weekly lawn care services, or annual maintenance contracts. Each new customer adds to your foundation rather than just providing a one-time transaction. Many of the most successful boring businesses involve acquiring existing operations rather than starting from scratch. There are thousands of profitable small businesses whose owners are approaching retirement without clear succession plans. These owners built solid operations over decades, but they don't have family members interested in taking over, and they don't know how to find qualified buyers. This creates an enormous opportunity for people willing to learn how these businesses work and take them over. You're not starting with zero revenue and hoping to find product-market fit. You're buying proven cash flow and existing customer relationships, then improving operations to increase profitability. The acquisition approach works particularly well because many business owners are more focused on running their operations than optimizing them. They may be using outdated systems, missing obvious opportunities to expand services, or leaving money on the table through poor pricing strategies. When you buy their business, you can implement improvements that the original owner never considered. Service businesses in unglamorous industries often fit this profile perfectly. HVAC companies, plumbing services, pest control, commercial cleaning, and similar operations generate steady revenue, solving problems that property owners can't ignore. These businesses benefit from local reputation and word-of-mouth referrals, making them resistant to online competition. The key to success in these markets is understanding that customers care more about reliability and competence than innovation. They want their problems solved quickly and professionally. They want to know that when they call, someone will answer. They want consistent quality and fair pricing. None of this requires revolutionary thinking or cutting-edge technology. Manufacturing businesses that serve niche markets can also be incredibly profitable while remaining completely invisible to the general public. Someone is making specialized components for industrial equipment, custom parts for specific applications, or simple products that serve particular industries. These businesses often have high barriers to entry because they require specialized knowledge or equipment. But once established, they can maintain strong profit margins for years. The internet has actually made many boring businesses more profitable rather than threatening them. Online tools make it easier to manage operations, communicate with customers, and handle administrative tasks. You can use simple websites and basic marketing to reach customers who previously would have been impossible to find cost-effectively. However, the key is not to get caught up in complex digital marketing strategies or trying to build an online presence that competes with massive platforms. Instead, use technology to make your boring business more efficient and slightly easier for customers to find and work with. Location often plays a crucial role in boring millionaire businesses. Being the best provider in a specific geographic area is much more achievable than trying to compete nationally. Local customers prefer working with nearby businesses for services that require physical presence. They want to know they can reach you quickly when problems arise. This local focus also means that your competition is limited to other businesses in your immediate area, rather than every company in your industry worldwide. You can build personal relationships with customers and referral sources in ways that remote competitors cannot match. The financial characteristics of boring businesses make them ideal wealth-building vehicles. They typically require lower upfront investment than glamorous startups, generate cash flow relatively quickly, and provide steady returns rather than boom and bust cycles. This stability allows you to plan for expansion, take calculated risks, and build wealth systematically over time. Perhaps most importantly, boring businesses let you focus on business fundamentals rather than constantly chasing new trends or defending against disruption. You can dedicate your energy to serving customers well, managing costs effectively, and gradually growing your market share. These timeless principles work regardless of what's happening in the broader economy or technology landscape. The path to identifying boring millionaire opportunities starts with looking at the unglamorous services and products that people and businesses need regularly. Visit industrial areas and notice what types of businesses operate there. Pay attention to service trucks and work vans in your neighborhood. Look at the vendors and suppliers that other businesses depend on. Most people walk past these opportunities every day without realizing the wealth-building potential they represent. The boring millionaire business is hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who values profit over prestige and sustainability over excitement. 12. Turn expenses into assets. Your rent payment disappears every month. Your car payment vanishes into thin air. Your phone bill evaporates. Most people treat these as necessary evils, the cost of living in the modern world. But millionaires see something different entirely. They see opportunities to flip the script, to transform money drains into money makers. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you approach major purchases and recurring expenses. The traditional approach to personal finance focuses on cutting costs. Budget gurus tell you to skip the daily coffee, pack your lunch, and negotiate your cable bill. While these tactics might save you a few $100s per year, they miss the bigger picture entirely. Instead of just reducing expenses, what if you could make your expenses work for you? What if your biggest monthly payments could generate income instead of just creating holes in your bank account? Consider Marcus, who was paying $1,500 monthly for a one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood. For 3 years, he handed over $18,000 annually to his landlord, receiving nothing but a place to sleep in return. The money was gone forever, building someone else's wealth while his own remained stagnant. Then he discovered a different approach. He found a small duplex in the same area for a purchase price that required a monthly mortgage payment of $2,000. The higher payment scared him initially, but the numbers told a different story. He could rent out the other unit for $1,200, reducing his actual housing cost to $800 monthly. Not only was he now paying less for housing than before, but he was also building equity in a property that appreciated over time. This concept extends far beyond real estate. Sarah ran a small consulting practice from home but struggled to justify the cost of upgrading her home office. Instead of viewing it as a pure expense, she redesigned the space to double as a workshop venue. 3 weekends per month, she hosted skill-building workshops for other professionals, charging each participant $200 for a full-day intensive session. Her office renovation cost became a business investment that generated over $4,000 monthly in additional revenue. The same space that would have been a one-time expense transformed into a recurring income stream. The key lies in adopting what successful people call the creator-operator mindset. Instead of consuming resources, you produce value. Instead of being purely on the demand side of transactions, you position yourself on the supply side as, well, this mindset shift requires you to constantly ask different questions. When facing any significant expense, the question changes from, how can I afford this, to, how can I make this pay for itself? Transportation offers another powerful example. James needed reliable transportation for his growing business, but balked at the idea of a car payment that would last for years. Instead of buying a vehicle solely for personal use, he purchased a larger, more versatile truck and registered it under his business. The truck served his transportation needs while also enabling him to offer moving services during weekends. Within 6 months, the weekend moving gigs covered the entire monthly payment. The truck was essentially free transportation that came with a side business attached. The tax advantages of this approach multiply the benefits significantly. When expenses transform into business investments, they often become deductible against your income. Sarah's office renovation, Marcus's property maintenance, and James's truck payment all generated tax benefits that pure personal expenses never could. The government essentially subsidizes your wealth-building activities when you structure them correctly. Technology expenses present particularly rich opportunities for this transformation. Many people view their phone, internet, and computer equipment as necessary costs of modern life. But these same tools can become the foundation of income-generating activities. Lisa upgraded her internet service and computer setup to handle high-quality video production. The monthly cost increase was $200, but she used the improved setup to create online training courses that generated over $3,000 monthly in passive income. The house hacking concept represents one of the most powerful applications of this principle. Traditional thinking says you need to qualify for investment property loans after you already own your primary residence. House hacking flips this sequence. You purchase a multi-unit property as your primary residence, live in one unit, and rent out the others. The rental income from the other units covers most or all of your mortgage payment, allowing you to live for free while building equity. After building wealth through this first property, you can move out, rent your former unit as well, and repeat the process with another property. Content hacking applies the same logic to information and experiences. Instead of paying to attend expensive conferences or training programs, document your learning journey and share the insights with others. The conference ticket becomes research and development for content that builds your reputation and attracts clients. The expensive course transforms from a cost center into the foundation for your own educational products. The restaurant, meals, and entertainment expenses that drain many budgets can also flip to the asset side of the ledger. Business development happens over meals and at events. When you approach social activities strategically, entertainment expenses become networking investments that generate future business opportunities. The dinner with a potential partner or client shifts from personal expense to business development cost, complete with tax advantages and measurable returns. Travel expenses offer similar opportunities for transformation. Instead of viewing vacations as pure consumption, location-independent professionals can structure trips to combine personal enjoyment with business development. Speaking at conferences in desirable destinations, conducting client meetings in interesting cities, or creating content about your travels all transform vacation costs into business investments. The mindset shift requires viewing every major purchase through the lens of potential income generation. Before committing to any significant expense, explore ways to make it productive. Can the space be used for business purposes? Can the equipment generate income during downtime? Can the experience be documented and shared for professional benefit? This approach requires more creativity and effort than simply writing checks and forgetting about expenses. You must think strategically about purchases, structure them appropriately, and actively manage them to ensure they generate returns. But the financial impact justifies the additional complexity. Instead of watching your money disappear into expenses, you create a portfolio of assets that work for you continuously. The compounding effect amplifies over time. Each expense that transforms into an asset creates ongoing returns, while the original expense category disappears from your budget. Your monthly cash flow improves from both sides of the equation. You eliminate the drain while adding a new income stream. These improvements stack upon each other, accelerating your wealth-building timeline significantly. The key to success lies in starting with your largest expenses first. Housing, transportation, and major equipment purchases represent the biggest opportunities for transformation. Once you master the principle with these significant items, you can apply the same thinking to smaller recurring expenses throughout your budget. Most importantly, this strategy requires a fundamental shift in identity. You must see yourself as a creator of value rather than just a consumer of resources. Every purchase becomes an opportunity to build rather than just spend. This identity shift influences decisions far beyond major purchases, affecting how you approach every aspect of your financial life. The millionaire mindset transforms expenses into investments and costs into income streams. Your money works harder because you think differently about every dollar that leaves your account. Instead of accepting expenses as necessary evils, you make them productive members of your wealth-building team. 13. Taxes, the legal cheat code. You can't out-earn bad tax strategy. This harsh reality hits most people when they get their first big payday and watch half of it disappear to the government. The wealthy understand something that escapes most people. Taxes aren't just an inevitable expense, they're the biggest leak in your wealth-building bucket. Plug this leak, and everything else you do to build wealth becomes exponentially more effective. The difference between someone who builds wealth and someone who just earns money often comes down to how they handle taxes. Two people can make the exact same income, but the one who understands tax strategy will end up with significantly more wealth over time. This isn't about cheating or doing anything illegal. It's about understanding the rules of the game and playing by them intelligently. Most people approach taxes with a victim mentality. They see the government as taking their hard-earned money, and they accept whatever their basic accountant tells them to do. They file their simple return, get a small refund, and think that's how taxes work. Meanwhile, wealthy people view taxes as a game, with rules that can be learned and leveraged legally. The tax code isn't designed to punish success, despite what many people believe. It's designed to incentive certain behaviors that the government wants to encourage. When you start a business, the government gives you deductions. When you invest in real estate, you get depreciation benefits. When you create jobs, you get tax credits. The system rewards people who take risks, create value, and drive economic activity. Understanding this fundamental truth changes everything. Instead of seeing taxes as money lost, you start seeing them as a strategic element in your wealth-building plan. Every dollar you save in taxes is a dollar that can be invested, compounded, and grown. Over decades, this creates enormous differences in wealth accumulation. The first concept to master is the difference between various business structures. When you work as an employee, you get the worst tax treatment possible. Your employer withholds taxes from every paycheck, and you have almost no deductions available. You're stuck paying the highest rates with the fewest options for reducing your burden. When you create a business entity, the entire game changes. Suddenly, many of your expenses become deductible. Your home office, your business meals, your travel, your equipment, your education costs, and dozens of other expenses can reduce your taxable income. The key is that these need to be legitimate business expenses, not personal expenses disguised as business costs. Different business structures offer different advantages. A simple sole proprietorship gives you access to business deductions but doesn't provide much protection or tax optimization. Limited liability companies offer better protection and more flexibility in how you're taxed. Corporations can provide even more sophisticated tax planning opportunities, especially as your income grows. The timing of when you recognize income and expenses becomes a powerful tool. Unlike employees who get taxed on every dollar as soon as they earn it, business owners can often control when they receive income and when they incur expenses. This allows you to smooth out your tax burden over multiple years, keeping yourself in lower brackets and avoiding the highest rates. Retirement accounts become much more powerful when you own a business. Instead of being limited to the small contributions allowed for employees, business owners can set up plans that allow much larger contributions. These contributions reduce your current tax burden while building wealth for the future. Some business retirement plans allow contributions of $50,000 or more per year. Real estate offers some of the most powerful tax advantages available. When you own rental property, you can deduct all the expenses associated with maintaining and operating that property. Even better, you can take depreciation deductions that reduce your taxable income even when the property is actually increasing in value. This creates a situation where you're building wealth through appreciation while reducing your taxes through depreciation. The concept of tax deferral becomes crucial as your wealth grows. Instead of paying taxes on gains immediately, various strategies allow you to defer those taxes to future years. This gives you more capital to invest now, creating larger returns that can more than make up for the taxes you'll eventually pay. Sometimes you can defer taxes so long that you never actually pay them due to other strategies. Business expenses need to be understood broadly but applied carefully. Almost anything that helps you generate income or manage your business can potentially be deductible. Your business vehicle, your business meals, your business travel, your business education, your business equipment, and your business insurance can all reduce your taxable income. The key is maintaining proper documentation and ensuring legitimate business purposes. The home office deduction opens up possibilities that most people never consider. When part of your home is used exclusively for business, you can deduct a portion of all your home expenses. Your mortgage interest, property taxes, utilities, insurance, and maintenance costs can partially become business deductions. This effectively makes your business help pay for your living expenses. Professional development and education expenses become fully deductible when they relate to your business. Books, courses, conferences, coaching, and other learning investments not only improve your skills but also reduce your tax burden. This creates a positive feedback loop where investing in yourself costs less because of tax savings. Travel expenses offer opportunities that employed people can't access. When you travel for business purposes, your transportation, lodging, and meal expenses become deductible. Smart. Business owners learn to combine business purposes with personal travel, making their vacations partially tax-deductible while still following all the rules. Equipment purchases can provide immediate tax benefits through various deduction methods. Instead of having to spread the cost of business equipment over several years, Many purchases can be deducted entirely in the year you buy them. This creates immediate tax savings that effectively discount the cost of tools that help you generate income. Insurance expenses take on new meaning when you own a business. Health insurance premiums become deductible business expenses instead of personal expenses. Disability insurance, liability insurance, and other coverage that protects your income-generating ability can reduce your taxes while protecting your wealth. The key to maximizing these strategies is working with a knowledgeable professional who understands business taxes, not just individual returns. Many accountants focus on simple, employee tax situations and don't have deep knowledge of business tax planning. Finding an advisor who specializes in working with business owners and investors makes an enormous difference in the strategies available to you. Record keeping becomes critical when you start using business tax strategies. Every deduction needs to be documented with receipts, explanations, and proof of business purpose. This doesn't need to be complicated, but it does need to be consistent. Modern tools make this much easier than it used to be, but the discipline of tracking everything remains essential. The goal isn't to eliminate all taxes, but to pay only what you legally owe and not a penny more. Aggressive tax strategies that push legal boundaries often create more problems than benefits. The focus should be on solid, well-established strategies that clearly fall within the rules while providing meaningful tax savings. Your relationship with taxes fundamentally changes when you understand these concepts. Instead of being something that happens to you, taxes become something you actively manage as part of your overall wealth strategy. This shift in perspective opens up opportunities that most people never see and accelerates wealth building in ways that compound over decades. 14. Risk, runway, and recessions. Safety lets you swing big. This sounds like a contradiction, but it's the most important paradox wealthy people understand. The more secure your foundation, the more aggressive risks you can take with the excess. Most people get this backwards. They play it safe when they should be aggressive, and swing wildly when they should be conservative. Think of a tightrope walker. The ones who perform the most daring feats always have a safety net below them. Without that net, they'd never attempt the moves that make them extraordinary. Your financial runway serves the same purpose. It's not there to make you comfortable. It's there to make you brave. The wealthy don't avoid risk. They manage it. There's a massive difference. Risk avoidance keeps you poor because every meaningful opportunity carries uncertainty. Risk management lets you pursue those opportunities while protecting your downside. When you have a solid financial foundation, you can afford to lose on individual bets because you're playing a longer game. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, which forces them into desperate moves. They chase get-rich-quick schemes because they can't afford to build wealth slowly. They take terrible jobs because they need money immediately. They can't negotiate because they have no alternatives. Desperation destroys your ability to make good decisions, and good decisions are what create wealth. Your runway changes everything about how you operate. With 12 months of expenses saved, you can walk away from bad deals. You can take time to research opportunities properly. You can wait for the right moment to make your move. You can survive the inevitable setbacks that come with building wealth. You're playing offense instead of defense. But runway isn't just about cash in savings accounts. That's amateur thinking. Sophisticated runway comes in multiple forms. You want liquid cash for immediate needs, but you also want credit lines you can access quickly, assets you can sell without major losses, and multiple income streams that don't depend on each other. Diversity in your runway is just as important as diversity in your investments. The cash portion should cover 9 to 12 months of essential expenses. Not your current lifestyle expenses, but the bare minimum you need to survive. If you're spending $4,000 monthly but could live on $2,000 in a crisis, your runway only needs to cover the $2,000. This isn't about maintaining comfort during tough times. It's about maintaining your ability to think clearly and make good decisions. Credit lines are your second layer of protection. Business lines of credit, personal lines of credit, even credit cards with low-interest promotional rates. You want these established before you need them because banks don't lend to desperate people. When times are good and your income is strong, That's when you secure access to capital for harder times. Think of credit as insurance you pay a small fee to keep available. Liquid assets form your third layer. These are investments you can convert to cash within days or weeks without major losses. This might include certain types of bonds, dividend-paying investments, or even cryptocurrency holdings. The key is liquidity, without forced selling at bad prices. You want assets you can choose to sell when it makes sense, not assets you're forced to dump at terrible prices. Multiple income streams protect you from single points of failure. If all your money comes from one source, you're vulnerable to that source disappearing. The wealthy spread their income across different vehicles, different industries, different time horizons. Some income comes from active work, some from passive investments, some from businesses they own. When one stream gets disrupted, the others keep flowing. This diversification becomes especially powerful during economic downturns. While most people panic and retreat, you can actually advance your position. Recessions create extraordinary opportunities for people with capital and confidence. Asset prices drop, desperate sellers emerge, and competition decreases because everyone else is scared. The wealthy understand that recessions are wealth transfer events, not wealth destruction events. Money doesn't disappear during downturns, it changes hands. It moves from people who are over-leveraged and unprepared to people who have runway and patience. Every recession creates a new class of wealthy people who are positioned to take advantage of the chaos. Your downturn strategy should be planned before the downturn arrives. When crisis hits, emotions take over, and clear thinking becomes difficult. You want predetermined criteria for what constitutes a good opportunity, how much you're willing to spend, and what your decision-making process will be. This isn't about timing markets perfectly. It's about having a framework for action when others are paralyzed by fear. Insurance plays a crucial role in protecting your runway, but most people buy the wrong kinds. They overinsure small risks they can afford to handle and underinsure catastrophic risks that would destroy them. You want minimal coverage on things like small property damage or minor health issues, and maximum coverage on things that could wipe out your wealth entirely. Disability insurance is often more important than life insurance, especially when you're building wealth. If you die, your expenses stop. If you become disabled, your expenses continue, but your income disappears. Yet most people have life insurance through their employer and no disability coverage. This backwards thinking comes from focusing on dramatic risks instead of probable risks. Professional liability coverage matters if your income depends on providing services or advice to others. One lawsuit can destroy decades of wealth building if you're not protected. The cost of coverage is tiny compared to the potential downside, but people skip it because the risk feels abstract until it becomes real. Your runway strategy should include geographic diversification as well. Having all your assets in one country, one currency, or one economic system creates unnecessary risk. This doesn't mean you need complex international structures, but having some exposure to different markets and currencies provides additional protection against local economic problems. The key is building your runway systematically rather than waiting until you need it. Every month, every quarter, every year, you should be strengthening your foundation. This happens automatically when you structure your wealth building properly, but it requires intentional design. You want systems that build your runway as a byproduct of building your wealth. Most people make the mistake of building wealth first and safety second, or focusing so much on safety that they never build real wealth. The right approach builds both simultaneously. As your income grows, your runway grows proportionally. As your investments compound, your backup plans get stronger. As your skills develop, your ability to generate income in different ways expands. When you get this foundation right, everything else becomes easier. You can take bigger risks because your downside is protected. You can be more patient because you're not desperate for immediate returns. You can negotiate from strength because you have alternatives. You can survive setbacks that would destroy less prepared people. This foundation doesn't just protect your wealth, it multiplies your ability to create more of it. The wealthy understand that true security comes from capability, not just capital. Having money saved is important, But having the skills, relationships, and systems to generate money quickly is even more valuable. Your runway should include both financial reserves and the ability to rebuild quickly if those reserves get depleted. Create a 9 to 12-month runway and a downturn acquisition checklist. Start with a cash foundation, then add the other layers of protection. Build systems that strengthen your foundation automatically as your wealth grows. Most importantly, use that foundation to take bigger, smarter risks that create real wealth. Safety isn't the enemy of wealth creation. It's the foundation that makes wealth creation possible. 15. Personal brand flywheel. Attention is modern leverage. Most people think personal branding is vanity. They see others sharing their thoughts online and dismiss it as ego-driven noise. This thinking costs them millions. In today's economy, attention equals opportunity, and opportunity equals wealth. Your personal brand isn't about fame or followers. It's about creating a system that turns your knowledge into trust, trust into deals, and deals into money. The wealthy understand something the masses don't. People buy from people they trust, and trust comes from consistent visibility. When someone needs what you offer, they don't search through yellow pages or cold call strangers. They think of the person they've been watching, learning from, and following. That person gets the deal. That person builds wealth. Your personal brand is a flywheel, a self-reinforcing system where each piece feeds the others. You publish content that demonstrates your expertise. This content creates proof of your capabilities. That proof enables you to create better products and command higher prices. The success from those products gives you more compelling stories to publish. The wheel spins faster with each rotation, generating momentum that becomes nearly unstoppable. The first element of this flywheel is publishing. Most people wait until they feel qualified to share their knowledge. This is backward thinking. You don't need to be the world's greatest expert to help someone who knows less than you. If you're 3 steps ahead of someone, you can teach them the next step. Your job isn't to impress the masters in your field, it's to serve the people who need what you know right now. Publishing consistently does something magical to your brain and your business. It forces you to clarify your thinking. When you know you need to explain something to others, you study it more deeply. You notice patterns you missed before. You develop frameworks that make complex ideas simple. This process doesn't just help your audience, it makes you genuinely better at what you do. The content you publish becomes your greatest sales tool, working for you while you sleep. Every piece you create is a sales conversation with future customers you haven't met yet. They read your words, watch your videos, or listen to your voice, and they start to know you. By the time they're ready to buy, they already trust you. The sale becomes a natural next step, not a difficult persuasion battle. But publishing without proof is just noise. The second element of your flywheel is demonstrating real results. Anyone can claim expertise, but only those who actually produce results can show proof. This is where most personal brands fail. They focus on theory instead of practice, on what sounds good instead of what actually works. Your proof comes in many forms. It might be the businesses you've built, the problems you've solved, or the people you've helped. It could be the money you've made, the time you've saved, or the transformations you've created. The key is making this proof visible and specific. Don't just say, you help people make money. Show exactly how much money specific people made using your methods. Don't just claim you save time. Demonstrate the precise systems that cut hours from someone's workday. This proof creates what psychologists call the halo effect. When people see evidence of your competence in one area, they assume you're competent in related areas too. A successful business owner who shares their journey doesn't just attract customers for business advice, they attract opportunities in real estate, investing, speaking, consulting, and dozens of other areas. Their proven success in one domain opens doors everywhere. The third element of your flywheel is product creation. Your content and proof enable you to create products that people actually want to buy. Instead of guessing what the market needs, you listen to the questions your audience asks. You see the problems they struggle with. You understand their language and their pain points. This intelligence makes product creation almost automatic. Your products don't need to be complicated. Some of the most profitable products are simple solutions to common problems. A template that saves hours of work. A checklist that prevents costly mistakes. A process that removes guesswork. A system that creates predictable results. The value isn't in complexity, it's in the outcome your product produces. As your products succeed, they create new stories and proof points to fuel your content. You can share case studies of customers who got results. You can explain the lessons you learned while building the product. You can teach the principles behind why it works. This content attracts new audiences, which leads to more customers, which creates more success stories. The flywheel spins faster. Most people underestimate how quickly this flywheel can build momentum. They think personal branding takes years to pay off. The truth is, if you publish consistently and focus on proof over theory, you can start seeing results in weeks, not months. The key is intensity and consistency. Better to publish something valuable every day for 90 days than to post sporadically for 2 years. The beauty of the personal brand flywheel is that it compounds. Your early content might reach dozens of people, but those people share it with others. Search engines start ranking your content higher. Algorithms begin showing your work to larger audiences. Speaking opportunities emerge. Media interviews happen. Joint ventures form. Each success amplifies the next one. This compounding creates what economists call increasing returns to scale. Most jobs and businesses have linear returns, double your effort, double your results. But personal brands can have exponential returns. A single piece of content can generate opportunities and income for years. One relationship built through your content can be worth millions in future deals. The most successful wealth builders treat their personal brand as their most important asset. They protect it carefully, invest in it consistently, and leverage it strategically. They understand that in a world where trust is scarce and attention is valuable, the person who can capture both has unlimited opportunities. Your personal brand isn't separate from your wealth-building strategy, it is your wealth-building strategy. It's how you attract the best deals before they go to market. It's how you command premium pricing for your services. It's how you build relationships with other successful people. It's how you create multiple income streams from a single foundation of expertise. The time to start building your personal brand isn't when you feel ready, it's now. Every day you wait is a day your competitors get ahead. Every week you stay invisible is a week of lost opportunities. The flywheel that could be spinning for you is spinning for someone else instead. Start with what you know. Share what you've learned. Show what you've built. Help people solve problems you've already solved. Document your journey as you continue growing. The momentum will build, the opportunities will multiply, and the wealth will follow. Your personal brand isn't just about getting known, it's about getting rich. 16. Deal flow, filters, and negotiation. The money's made in the buy, not the sell. This simple truth separates millionaires from everyone else chasing deals. While most people focus on finding opportunities, wealthy people master the art of evaluating and acquiring them at prices that guarantee profit before they even close. Think about it this way. If you buy a business for half its true value, you've already doubled your money on paper. The subsequent growth is just bonus. But if you overpay for even the best opportunity, you're swimming upstream from day one. This is why successful deal makers spend more time saying no than saying yes. The first principle of deal evaluation is understanding that not all opportunities are created equal. Every deal that crosses your desk falls into one of 3 categories: obvious passes, obvious wins, and maybes. The obvious passes are easy to spot: overpriced assets, desperate sellers asking, retail prices, or businesses in declining industries with structural problems. The obvious wins are rare gems that meet all your criteria and present clear value. But the maybes are where most people get stuck, and where fortunes are won or lost. Creating systematic filters prevents you from wasting time on deals that will never work while ensuring you don't miss the ones that will change your life. The most successful acquirers use what they call opportunity scorecards, simple frameworks that score potential deals across multiple dimensions. These scorecards typically evaluate 5 core areas: financial health, market position, operational complexity, growth potential, and seller motivation. Financial health comes first because numbers don't lie. A business generating consistent cash flow with clean books and predictable revenue streams scores high. One with lumpy earnings, aggressive accounting, or seasonal volatility scores low. Market position examines competitive advantages and defensibility. Does this business have something competitors can't easily replicate? Operational complexity asks whether you can actually run this business, or if it requires specialized knowledge you don't possess. Growth potential separates good deals from great ones. Is this business in a growing market with room for expansion, or are you buying into a mature industry with limited upside? Finally, seller motivation determines whether you can actually get a deal done at your price. Motivated sellers with clear reasons for exiting will negotiate. Casual sellers fishing for unrealistic prices will waste your time. The scoring system itself matters less than consistently applying it. Some dealmakers use a simple 1 to 10 scale across each dimension, while others prefer weighted scores based on their priorities. The key is having a repeatable process that removes emotion from evaluation. When you see a score of 6 or below, you pass immediately. Scores of 8 and above get deeper. Analysis. 7s require careful consideration of which factors matter most for your specific situation. Basic valuation skills prevent you from overpaying, even for attractive opportunities. Most small businesses sell for multiples of their annual cash flow, typically ranging from 2 to 6 times depending on size, growth, and industry. Service businesses with owner dependency trade at lower multiples, while asset-heavy businesses with recurring revenue command premiums. Learning these rough guidelines helps you spot obviously overpriced deals and identify potential bargains. But valuation is just the starting point for negotiation, where the real money gets made. Successful negotiators understand that deals are rarely about price alone. Payment terms, seller financing, earnouts, and risk allocation often matter more than the headline number. A seller asking for $500,000 cash might accept $400,000 with favorable terms and partial seller financing. The most powerful negotiation tool is information. The more you understand about the seller's situation, timeline, and alternatives, the better you can structure offers that work for both parties. Sometimes sellers need quick closes due to health issues or partnership disputes. Other times they're emotionally attached to the business and need to feel confident about its future direction. Understanding these motivations allows you to craft offers that address their real needs beyond just price. Anchoring works in both directions. When sellers start with unrealistic asking prices, they're anchoring high and hoping you'll negotiate toward their number. Counter this by anchoring low with your first offer, backed by solid reasoning and comparable sales data. Don't apologize for low offers. Present them as fair valuations based on the business's actual performance and market conditions. Walkaway power is your strongest negotiating position. This means having multiple deals in your pipeline so you're never desperate for any single opportunity. Desperation shows, and sellers will exploit it by holding firm on price and terms. But when you genuinely don't need a particular deal, you can make fair offers and stick to your criteria without emotional attachment to the outcome. The best negotiators prepare multiple scenarios before entering discussions. They know their ideal outcome, acceptable outcome, and walkaway point before making initial contact. They also prepare for common seller objections and have responses ready that acknowledge concerns while keeping negotiations moving forward. Timing plays a crucial role in successful negotiations. Rushing deals leads to mistakes, but moving too slowly allows sellers to shop your offer or change their minds. The sweet spot is measured urgency, moving quickly enough to maintain momentum while taking sufficient time for proper analysis. This typically means responding to seller communications within 24 hours and keeping the process moving with regular updates and next steps. Professional presentation matters more than most buyers realize. Clean offer letters, organized financial analysis, and prompt communication signal that you're a serious buyer who can actually close deals. Sellers often accept slightly lower offers from buyers they trust to execute over higher offers from unknown entities with questionable financing. Building relationships throughout the process creates value beyond individual transactions. Today's seller might become tomorrow's deal source, referring other business owners considering exits. Local professionals like attorneys, accountants, and business brokers see numerous deals and remember buyers who are professional, fair, and reliable. The most successful dealmakers track their activity metrics just like any other business process. They know how many deals they evaluate monthly, what percentage make it through initial screening, how many receive offers, and what their closing rate looks like. This data reveals patterns and improvement opportunities that compound over time. Making offers is a skill that improves with practice. Your first few attempts might feel awkward or aggressive, but each negotiation teaches lessons about what works and what doesn't. The goal isn't to win every deal, it's to win the right deals at prices that create wealth. Start building your deal evaluation and negotiation skills by analyzing opportunities even when you're not ready to buy. Study businesses for sale in your area, research their industries, and practice creating valuations. When you do find opportunities worth pursuing, you'll have the frameworks and confidence needed to negotiate successfully. The money really is made in the buy. Master this phase of wealth building, and everything else becomes significantly easier. 17. The millionaire operating system, routine, beats motivation every single time. The wealthy understand this fundamental truth, while everyone else chases inspiration and waits for the perfect moment. They know that millionaires aren't made in explosive bursts of brilliance, but through the compound effect of daily, weekly, and monthly practices that most people find too boring to maintain. The difference between someone who reaches 7 figures and someone who dreams about it isn't talent, luck, or even starting capital. It's having a system that runs whether you feel like it or not. Your emotions will betray you, your energy will fluctuate, your circumstances will shift. But a well-designed operating system keeps moving you forward regardless of what's happening in your head or your world. Think of the most successful people you know personally. Strip away their natural abilities, their connections, their advantages. What you'll find underneath is almost always the same thing. They do certain things consistently that compound over time. They track what matters. They review their progress regularly. They make course corrections quickly. They don't wing it and hope for the best. The millionaire operating system is built on 3 core components that work together like gears in a machine. First, you need daily metrics that tell you whether you're moving toward wealth or away from it. Second, you need structured review cycles that ensure you're learning from both wins and losses. Third, you need decision-making loops that help you spot opportunities and threats faster than your competition. Your daily metrics should be simple enough to track in under 5 minutes, but powerful enough to predict your financial future. The most important number is your net worth delta, which is simply how much your net worth changed from yesterday to today. This isn't about celebrating every small gain or panicking over every dip. It's about developing an intuitive feel for how your decisions impact your wealth in real time. Most people check their net worth maybe once a year, if that. They have no idea whether their daily choices are building wealth or destroying it. They spend money without understanding the opportunity cost. They make business decisions without seeing the immediate financial impact. They're flying blind in a game where vision determines everything. Track 3 numbers every single day: net worth delta, deal reps completed, and cash generated. Net worth delta keeps you focused on the ultimate scoreboard. Deal reps ensure you're consistently creating opportunities for wealth. Cash generated measures your ability to turn activities into money. These 3 metrics, tracked daily, will tell you more about your financial trajectory than any complicated dashboard or analysis. Your review cycles create the feedback loops that separate learning from just doing. Weekly reviews catch problems while they're still small. Monthly reviews identify patterns and trends. Quarterly reviews drive major strategic decisions. Without these structured checkpoints, you'll repeat the same mistakes and miss the same opportunities over and over. The weekly review should take exactly 30 minutes and answer 3 questions. What moved me closer to wealth this week? What moved me further away? What will I do differently next week? Don't overthink this. Look at your numbers, identify the pattern, Make one adjustment. The power is in the consistency, not the complexity. Monthly reviews go deeper into the trends behind the numbers. Are you generating more opportunities than last month? Is your conversion rate improving? Are your assets growing faster than your expenses? What external factors helped or hurt your progress? Monthly reviews help you understand the difference between noise and signal in your financial life. Quarterly reviews are where you make the big moves. This is when you evaluate whether your current vehicle is still the best path to wealth, whether your skill development is paying off, whether your network is expanding in valuable directions. Quarterly reviews often trigger the major decisions that define your financial future. The decision-making component of your operating system is what fighter pilots call the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. In the wealth game, speed of decision-making often matters more than perfection of decision-making. The person who can spot an opportunity, evaluate it quickly, and take action while others are still thinking will consistently outperform someone with better analysis but slower execution. Observe means staying alert to changes in your market, your industry, your network, and your own capabilities. Most opportunities are visible long before they become obvious. The question is whether you're paying attention or just going through the motions. Orient means making sense of what you're seeing. Is this an opportunity or a distraction? Does it fit with your current strategy or require a pivot? What would success look like, and what could go wrong? This is where your experience and judgment create value. Decide means committing to a path forward, even with incomplete information. Wealthy people make decisions with 60% of the information they wish they had. Poor people wait until they have 90% and wonder why all the good opportunities are gone. Act means executing your decision quickly and completely. Ideas don't create wealth, actions do. The operating system only works if you actually operate it. Your millionaire operating system needs to account for the fact that wealth building happens in cycles, not straight lines. Plan in 12-week sprints rather than annual goals. 12 weeks is long enough to accomplish something meaningful but short enough to maintain focus and intensity. Most people's attention spans can't sustain annual goals, but 12 weeks feels manageable and urgent. Each 12-week cycle should have one primary objective that moves you significantly closer to 7 figures. Not 3 objectives or 5 objectives. 1. Everything else in that cycle should support, or at least not interfere with that primary objective. This kind of focus is uncomfortable for people who want to improve everything at once. But it's exactly what creates breakthrough results. The rhythm of your operating system matters as much as the components. Daily tracking, weekly reviews, monthly pattern analysis, quarterly strategic decisions, and 12-week execution cycles create a drumbeat that keeps you moving forward even when individual days or weeks don't go according to plan. Most people's approach to wealth building is random. They work hard when they feel motivated, slack off when they don't. They chase opportunities that excite them and ignore opportunities that bore them. They make financial decisions based on emotions and then wonder why their results are unpredictable. Your operating system removes the randomness. It ensures that every day, week, and month contains specific actions that compound into wealth over time. It catches problems early and capitalizes on opportunities quickly. It turns wealth building from a hobby you pursue when convenient into a system that runs automatically. The best operating systems feel almost invisible once they're installed. You don't think about them consciously, but they're always working in the background, guiding your decisions and actions toward your ultimate objective. They become part of who you are, rather than something you have to remember to do. Build your millionaire operating system, starting today. Choose your 3 daily metrics and commit to tracking them for the next 12 weeks. Schedule your weekly review for the same time every week and protect that appointment like your financial future depends on it, because it does. Design your first 12-week cycle around one clear objective that will meaningfully increase your net worth. Your system will evolve as you do, but it needs to exist first before it can improve. Start simple, start today, and let consistency create the compound effect that transforms your financial reality. 18. The 12-month millionaire roadmap. The path to your first million starts with a single uncomfortable truth. Most people never create a real plan. They set vague goals, hope for the best, and wonder why nothing changes. But you're different. You've absorbed the 7 mindset shifts that separate wealth builders from wishful thinkers. Now it's time to put them into action, with a roadmap that transforms your life in 12 months. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting rich systematically. The difference between dreamers and doers comes down to specificity. Dreams are fuzzy, plans are precise. Your 12-month millionaire roadmap will be the most detailed financial blueprint you've ever created, because precision drives results. Start with your baseline. Write down your exact net worth today. Include everything you own minus everything you owe. Don't round numbers or estimate. Get the real figures. This becomes your starting point, your mile marker 0. Without knowing where you are, you can't plot where you're going. Next, define your millionaire target. For most people reading this, reaching $1 million in net worth within 12 months requires a combination of aggressive income growth and smart asset accumulation. If you're starting from 0, you need to generate and keep roughly $83,000 per month. If you're starting with $500,000, you need $42,000 per month. The math is simple, but the execution requires strategy. Your income target becomes the foundation of everything else. Look at your current earning vehicle and ask the hard question. Can it scale to the level you need? If you're trading time for money, the answer is probably no. This is where the mindset shifts from earlier chapters become crucial. You need to own assets that generate cash flow, sell outcomes instead of hours, and build systems that work without you. The fastest path to millionaire status typically involves 3 revenue streams working together. Your primary vehicle should be something you can control completely, usually a business or high-value service. This needs to generate 60 to 70% of your target income. Your secondary stream might be investment returns, rental properties, or equity growth in assets you own. The third stream often comes from optimizing what you already have, turning expenses into assets, and maximizing every dollar's efficiency. Building your primary income vehicle requires ruthless focus. Choose one business model and commit to it completely. Whether it's acquiring existing businesses, building a service company, creating products, or developing high-value skills, pick your lane and accelerate. The temptation to chase multiple opportunities will be strong, but millionaires are made through depth, not breadth. Your skill development plan needs to align with your income goals. Identify the 3 skills that directly impact your ability to generate wealth in your chosen vehicle. If you're building a service business, these might be sales, delivery, and operations. If you're acquiring assets, focus on deal analysis, negotiation, and financing. Dedicate at least 2 hours daily to developing these core competencies. Asset allocation becomes critical as your income grows. The traditional advice of saving 20% won't get you to millionaire status in 12 months. You need to save and invest 60 to 80% of everything you earn. This requires living below your current means while scaling your income above your current level. It's uncomfortable, but discomfort is the price of transformation. Your asset mix should prioritize cash flow over appreciation in the short term. You need assets that pay you monthly, not investments that might grow over decades. This might mean rental properties, businesses that generate immediate returns, or high-yield opportunities that produce regular income. Build your wealth machine first, then optimize for growth. Risk management becomes more important as your wealth grows. As you accumulate assets, you become a bigger target for lawsuits, market volatility, and unexpected setbacks. Proper insurance, legal structures, and diversification aren't luxuries anymore. They're necessities that protect what you've built. Your weekly operating rhythm determines whether you hit your targets. Every week, you need to track 3 key metrics: income generated, assets acquired, and net worth growth. These numbers tell you immediately whether you're on track or falling behind. If you're not measuring, you're not managing. Monthly reviews keep you honest about what's working and what isn't. Look at your income sources, expense categories, and asset performance. Identify the activities that generate the highest returns and eliminate everything else. Millionaires are ruthless about cutting anything that doesn't contribute to their wealth. Goals. Quarterly adjustments account for market changes and new opportunities. Every 3 months, reassess your strategy based on results. If your primary vehicle isn't scaling fast enough, pivot. If new opportunities emerge that fit your criteria, pursue them. Flexibility within a structured plan is what separates successful wealth builders from rigid rule followers. The psychological game matters as much as the financial one. Building wealth this rapidly requires mental toughness, delayed gratification, and the ability to make decisions under pressure. You'll face setbacks, criticism from others, and moments of doubt. Having a clear plan helps you push through these challenges because you can see progress even when others can't. Your environment needs to support your goals. Surround yourself with people who understand wealth building, not people who think you're crazy for attempting it. Join communities of business owners, investors, and other wealth builders. Their normal becomes your normal, making your goals feel achievable instead of impossible. Accountability accelerates results. Share your 12-month plan with someone who will hold you to it. This might be a mentor, coach, or accountability partner who understands wealth building. Regular check-ins force you to confront reality and make necessary adjustments before small problems become big ones. Prepare for the compound effect to kick in during months 9 through 12. The first half of your journey will feel slow and difficult. The second half accelerates as your systems mature, your skills improve, and your assets start generating meaningful returns. This is when the magic happens, but only if you've laid the groundwork consistently during the earlier months. Your failure plan is as important as your success plan. What happens if your primary income vehicle doesn't scale as expected? What's your backup strategy if market conditions change? Having contingency plans removes the fear that stops most people from taking bold action. The final piece of your roadmap is commitment. This isn't a casual goal you'll pursue when convenient. It's a 12-month sprint that requires everything you have. Write out your commitment, sign it, and refer to it whenever motivation wanes. Commitment turns possibilities into inevitabilities. Your 12-month millionaire roadmap isn't just about reaching a number. It's about becoming the type of person who can build and maintain wealth consistently. The skills, systems, and mindset shifts you develop during this journey create the foundation for lasting financial success. The roadmap starts today. Not next Monday, not next month, not when conditions are perfect. Today, because millionaires aren't made by perfect plans executed later. They're made by imperfect plans executed immediately, then improved along the way.